Hi, I'm Kirsten Chick, author of Nutrition Brought to Life, and this podcast is a companion to the book. You can listen as you read Nutrition Brought to Life, or before as a kind of preview, or after you've finished the book as a refresher. Either way, I hope this helps you make some small changes that make a big difference in your life. Hello, hope you're all well wherever you are. I know most of you are in the UK, but apparently I have listeners in the US, Norway, Germany, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, Spain, Portugal, Jersey, Italy, Greece, France, Egypt, Bangladesh, and Nigeria. So this podcast is doing a bit of a whirlwind tour each week. I'm still here in sunny Sussex, and the focus is still on your microbiome. Last week, we looked at what your inner ecosystem is and some of the wonderful things it does. This week is based on chapter 12, Nourishing Your Microbiome. So the chapter in my book that looks at how to feed your microbes and help provide the perfect environment for them. Feeding your microbes may include eating fibre from lots of different kinds of plant foods, as I talked about last time, including fermented foods, and maybe even adding prebiotic and probiotic supplements. But you also need to tend to the environment in which they live. So we'll look at that too. In chapter 12, I look at both, and here they are condensed into 7 top tips for nourishing your microbiome. Tip number 1 is perhaps the most important. Always make changes gradually. Whenever you increase the amount of beneficial microbes, they will help to kill off pathogenic, i.e. disease-causing microbes. If things are only slightly out of balance, then you'll only need some small adjustments anyway. If there's quite a considerable overgrowth of pathogenic microbes and you start killing them off in droves, there will be a carnage that is just as likely to create inflammation and discomfort as the overgrowth itself. This is often called die-off and can sometimes be extreme enough to cause flu-like symptoms, itchiness, headaches, insomnia, anxiety, and depression. So you need to work at a pace where your body can manage the cleanup operation required, and that pace will be different for each of you. Tip number 2 for nourishing your microbiome is staying hydrated. The tissue throughout your body needs water to stay healthy, and skin and mucous membranes, where most of your microbes live, is no exception. This includes drinking water, minimizing any drinks you notice makes you wee more, such as coffee, tea, and herbal teas, and making sure your diet is hydrating too. So more soups and salads and smaller amounts of crackers, toast, and other dry foods. You can still have them, just make sure your diet isn't predominantly dry food. Tip number 3 is to help create the right acid-alkaline balance for your microbiome. We've already heard how they help manage this themselves by excreting the pH they prefer. Your body also has a number of strategies in place to maintain the various different pH levels required in different parts of your body. You can help largely by ensuring you have plenty of vegetables in your diet, alongside adequate proteins, and reducing your intake of sugar and refined carbohydrates. You can also put in support for your adrenals, which we've already looked at, and for your thyroid, which we'll explore another time. What sometimes gets confusing is that we hear a lot about alkalizing your body, and yet many of your beneficial microbes actually prefer a more acidic environment, and lots of your digestive enzymes do too. So what we mean is you need to keep your blood and cells alkaline while providing correct levels of acidity elsewhere in your body. It's often not simply a case of eating more acidic things if you don't have enough acidity and more alkaline things if you're too acidic. Your body can sort this all out for you as long as it has the ingredients, energy, and hydration it needs. So you don't just need lots of greens, for example, although that will help. You need some proteins too. Tip 4 is around sugar. I've just said it's a good idea to reduce sugar and refined carbohydrates. You may not need to eliminate them in the kind of extreme way that you come across in anti-candida diets if you're putting other kinds of support in, though. Also, as we explored in an earlier chapter, giving up sugar is not always the easiest thing. There are lots of reasons for this, but one of them might be because an overgrowth of pathogenic microbes is instructing your brain to feed it more sugar. So you're going to be craving sugar until you get the balance back. So be kind to yourself here and bring in as many supportive strategies as you can. Tip number 5 we covered last week, so adding in more plant fibre. This counts as a prebiotic, i.e. food for your microbes. Tip number 6 is to add small amounts of fermented foods to your diet, such as sauerkraut, kimchi, unfiltered vinegar, yogurt, kefir, tempeh, and so on. These are all foods which have been cultured. The culture is usually made up of beneficial bacteria and yeasts that make the food easier to digest as well as last longer in the store cupboard, while also helping to seed your microbiome with healthy organisms. Finally, tip number 7 is to consider probiotic and prebiotic supplements. Precisely what you need and how much to take varies considerably, and that's one of the reasons there are so many different products on the market. I would usually start most people off on a low-dose probiotic that contains around a dozen or so different species of bacteria. You may also benefit from the beneficial yeast, Saccharomyces boulardii, which has a number of impressive benefits for your microbiome and for gut health. If you're finding things stubborn to shift, you may need to break down some of the biofilm that microbes often form colonies on. Biofilm makes it harder for both probiotics and antibiotics to get a look in. There are specialist supplements that can help with this, such as serrapeptase, which is a protein enzyme. That's actually quite a comprehensive overview of chapter 12, but there's obviously a lot more detail in the book. Please do let me know if you find these tips useful. Next week, we're going a level deeper into the body and looking at tissue health. So more about how to keep your gut in good shape, plus your skin, bones, joints, and everywhere. Thanks for listening to the Nutrition Brought to Life podcast. There's also a Facebook group you can join called Nutrition Brought to Life Podcast Community, where you can share useful insights and recipes, ask questions, and get more support on your nutrition journey. If you haven't read it yet, there's so much more in the book, Nutrition Brought to Life, as well as all the scientific references and some glorious pictures. And you can find out more about me at kirstenchick.com.